guys, so today I am doing a long promised video, which is kind of my favorites or go-to period products. I have been meaning to make this video for a while now, especially because the way that I've been handling my periods and dealing with them has not really changed that much. But I wanted to actually make sure I had a good feel on my routine before I kind of sat in front of the camera and talked about it. Alright, so my periods have been ever-changing for my entire life, and as you guys have seen in my period review videos over the last year, my periods are always different. Sometimes they're heavy, sometimes they're long, sometimes they're short, sometimes they're light. It always differs. Also, what's different about every single period and also days of my period is that my cervix sometimes sits high, sometimes it sits low, sometimes it's even angled, it feels like this. I don't know. It seems like my nether regions are always like throwing me for a loop. So I don't ever just use one period product. I always am kind of switching between a few things, and these are the things that have been working really well for me and made my life so much better. So starting off, as you guys know, I would never ever leave the house unless I was very lightly bleeding without a backup. I always use two products at once. So whether that mean an organic tampon and a pad, or an organic tampon and period panties, or my cup in a pad, or my cup and period panties, I always usually wear two different items unless, like I said, I'm super light bleeding, you know, and I'm at that like end of the end of my period type of thing and I know my period's about to be done. When it comes to pads, I've been loving these two pads right here. As you can see, this one's a very loved and used one because it's stained. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, let them sit out in the sun or do this and that. The staining doesn't really bother me. I mean, they're pads that I bleed into, so I don't really care if they have like stains of blood. Like, it's kind of like, I don't know, I don't really care. These are my like all-time #1 like favorites in regards to affordability. I know a lot of you guys, when I did my review of these, were kind of like, oh, those are like so cheap and terrible, like blah blah blah. I love these. Like, whenever I've had a super duper heavy period, these are the pads that I go to because I'm guaranteed that I will not leak through them. I will not have any issues with them. Like, they are amazing. My mom also uses these because she fell in love with them as well. I've had a lot of people on that period, you know, video tell me that they've ordered them from Amazon and they love them. They are from Amazon, so they are great because you can get them Amazon Prime, I believe, and as well as them being affordable. Like, yes, they are big, yes, they are long, yes, they are kind of thick, but that's what I like about them. I know that it's gonna be very difficult for me to bleed through one of these, which is why I love them so much. When I did that review video, my only complaint was that it kind of like bunched up in the center. But guys, this is pretty thin when it comes to a pad. Like, I know a lot of you guys like, oh, that's too thick of a pad, that kind of thing for, you know, inside. But even the thinnest pads, I still bunch up. Like, even panty liners, I still bunch up. Because that's just, my legs are like this. Like, they're not, my legs are like this. They touch, okay? So no matter what kind of pad or the, you know, whatever width I'm using, they always bunch. So honestly, like, that shouldn't have even been really a complaint for me. And yeah, so these are the pads that are my go-to for overnights. Like, if I'm very heavily bleeding, I will wear this and a cup or this and a tampon because I know it's got my back. Also, if I come home and I'm on my heavier period and I'm like, oh man, I'm so sick of sticking, you know, my cup up my vagina or my, you know, tampons up my vagina, I just want to give it a rest, I will wear this around the house because, again, I know I'll be very hard pressed to like actually bleed through it. So when I'm at home, these are like my go-to to bleed into by themselves, and when I'm sleeping, these are my go-to to bleed into. But yeah, I love these. For when I go out in public and I've ran out of my period panties because say they're all dirty, or I just don't feel like wearing them, or I feel like I just need a little bit more protection, you know, if I'm really heavy, I will use these Cozy Folks. I think that's what these are called. Yes, they're called Cozy Folk pads. These were sent to me by I Love Generation Me. They are super duper comfortable. They're really cute as well. They are a little bit thinner than these pads, so they fit really nicely in between my legs. And also they kind of have like a contoured like shape on each side, so that way, you know, there's just more protection back there. I really like these. The only reason why I would say that I like these more than these is because they do have like a fleece backing, whereas this one's kind of slippery. This is waterproof though, that's why it's slippery, so that's why I wear them overnight. But when I'm like active outside and walking around a bunch, these are nice because they don't move as much because there's a little bit of friction there, so it stays in place better. I think that these are great. I think they do really well with heavy bleeding as well. These are just the most comfortable in my opinion. So when I'm out in public, I tend to wear the Cozy Folk ones more. I should order some because she sent me two and I just love these. But when I'm at home and stuff like that and maybe not moving around a lot or sleeping, this is like my go-to. So I like both of these actually. I like both of these. I think they both handle a lot of blood. I've never bled through either one of them, but yeah, these are my two favorites. So if you're looking for more of like a flannel-y like one that stays in place, that's super thin, Cozy Folk's really good. If you're looking for like really affordable and Amazon and all of that, the Morksy ones, the Morksy ones, I don't know how to pronounce it, are really good from Amazon. So I will leave the links to both these below. Like I said, these are my go-to pads for heavier bleeding as backups, or like I said, by themselves when I get home. In regards to backups when I'm not super heavy or where I am wearing a cup out in public, because my cup can handle everything. Like my cup is good to go, although I do sometimes have leaking. So when I am wearing my cup out and I am heavy bleeding, I do like to wear my period panties. I have two different brands right here. I have the Thinx panties and then I have the Anagen panties. They both work equally as well. I will just go out and say that, but they do have their differences. One, when it comes to companies, you guys know I'm not fond of Thinx panties. They, I think, rip people off. I think that they are not so kind to their influencers that helped support them and help build them into the huge company that they are today. I don't think they're very fair and equal when it comes to that kind of thing. The CEO is under a lot of heat right now. I guess she got fired or she quit. I don't know what's going on with that company, but in regards to the ethical whatever with them, I would prefer not to shop with them anymore. But unfortunately, before all of that started happening and before I realized how crappy they would be with me, I bought more underwear from them. So their underwear does work. These are their sport ones. These are the only ones that I would suggest. They're not for heavy bleeding, but the ones for heavy bleeding have like a lace trim to them, which is bogus. Like I put so many holes in my lace trim, and I get that they came out with a different trim, but the new trim doesn't look any more sturdy than the lace trim. Like I feel like both are gonna fall apart no matter what. So the sporty fit ones, which I like, are the ones that are for medium bleeding, and they just have like a regular spandex waistband, which I don't see anything wrong with this. Like I don't see why all of them aren't like this. So these fit me really well. They work very, very well as a backup. Like I said, whenever I'm out in public and I have my cup in, these are my go-to, you know, period panties in general. So I don't really shop with Thinx anymore. I think that they work really well though, so if you want to shop from them, that's great. But yeah, so I just want to put that out there. I do still use my Thinx underwear because I bought them and spent my money on them, so of course I'm going to use them. So I do like the sport ones of those. And then I do also love my Anagen period panties, which these I have no issues with whatsoever. They have some lace trim detailing, but they're smart and they put the trim around the legging openings instead of the waistband, so you still get that cute kind of pretty feel, but you don't get the holes through the waistband like you do with the Thinx. I also prefer the Anagen ones because they are not like this weird bathing suit material. All of the Thinx ones have like a bathing suit material outside, so it makes them slippery. So whenever I wear jeans, my jeans slip down my butt. Even though they fit perfectly fine with regular underwear, because it's so slippery, they slip down my butt. So I do prefer the Anagen for that, and I also like the Anagen because they're just as effective and they are a ton cheaper. They are so much more affordable than the Thinx underwear, which I don't understand, but I really, really like the Anagen ones. They are very effective and very good. The only problem with the Anagen ones is that they do not go further than a large, I believe, and even their other sizes run a tiny bit small. Not to the point where you can't wear them, but to the point where it's like, these are a little tight. I do really like these though. These you can find on Amazon as well, along with all these other different stores. I will link these below, along with these, with my coupon code for this. I don't get paid for the coupon code. If you use it, I just get like a $10 credit, which you can only use per one purchase, which I don't understand. But yeah, so that's another thing that I have an issue with Thinx. But yeah, so I do like these period panties. These are what I use. Thinx does offer large and extra large and all of that. I got an email from the owner of Anagen, and she wanted to kind of talk about my ideas about period panties, so I do need to respond back to her email, but that is the first thing I'm going to talk to her about, is carrying larger sizes, because I think women, larger women would really enjoy these Anagen ones, and I think they should be available to them. So don't worry, I'm going to try to work with that, but again, I'm just like a small little vlogger. Who knows what I can do, but I'm gonna try. So anyway, so if there's any period people out there who want to go into business with me, let me know. But yeah, so I love my period panties. I definitely wear these as a backup with my cup when I'm out in public. They're super comfortable. Love, love, love them. I don't really wear them by themselves unless I am lightly bleeding. They're great for at the end of period, but again, if I am medium to heavy, I always wear them as a backup for something else. Moving on to the main event, the thing that I use the most, you know, my first and forefront warrior for my periods are the cups and tampons. So for cups, I alternate between the Scoon and the Lunette. Honestly, there's really no rhyme or reason as to which one I use per day. Usually it's like if my cervix is a little bit lower, I'll use my Scoon, and then if my cervix is a little bit higher, I'll use my Lunette, just because there is a tiny difference in length in them. Sometimes I need one to be a little bit longer, and sometimes I need one to be a little bit shorter. The Scoon is a little bit softer than Lunette. I would say it's the softest one I've used out of all of the period cups, whereas the Lunette is a little bit firmer, but that doesn't really make a huge difference. Comfortability wise, is that a word? I don't know. The Scoon is the most comfortable out of all the cups I have tried. I think it is because it is so soft, but the Lunette is also very comfortable as well. Like I said, I go between them depending on where my cervix is in my period, or period versus period. So these are the two go-to cups that I use, and I only use these when I'm heavy to medium bleeding. If I'm light bleeding, I will just stick to doing my heavy pads or my period panties, because again, I don't want to stick a foreign object up there if I don't have to during my period. Like, I would rather not, so I will just free bleed into period panties or pads when I'm very, very light. Now, if I'm going somewhere that I'm lightly bleeding, like very lightly bleeding, and I don't want period panty lines, yes, I have a period panty thong, but it's not very effective in regards to, I don't know, it's nice as kind of a backup if you are spotting just a little bit, but it's not something I would trust as like a full-on backup. But if I'm going somewhere I'm still lightly bleeding and I don't want any period panty line or anything like that, I will use an organic cotton tampon. These are the Cora brand. I don't think that they are as effective as a cup. I don't think that they are as effective as the OB Super Plus ones that I used to use back in the day, but I do think they are pretty effective at stopping light bleeding for me. So I will use these and wear these very sparingly, again, if I'm very light on my period, with like my period panty thong as a backup, just as a stopper for my light bleeding. So that is very rare, but I will do that because there's really not an instance where I can't just wear my period panties or I can't just wear my cup. Like, I feel comfortable now out in public dealing with my cup and all of that. Those are the products that I've been really, really loving and the things that I use. As you can see, there's not just one product that I use throughout my period because every day is different on my period and every period is different. So keep an open mind when it comes to period products. You know, if you see one and you're like, oh, I don't need that, you know, maybe consider like, maybe that would make my life easier, you know, just even one or two. Like, I don't have a ton of all of these things. I have 2 pairs of Anagen underwear. I have 3 or 4 of these, and then I have 2 of these, and then, you know, all that kind of thing. Like, having a few of everything basically has built up enough for me to last an entire period very happily every month. It has been almost a year since I purchased like a disposable period product, and it's been really, really great. You know, I have been purchasing period products just to do these reviews, but if I wasn't doing these reviews, I wouldn't have had to spend any more money past like finding all these products. So it's a very affordable way, and a very, you know, eco-friendly way, and a very even healthy way of living. And yeah, so if you're considering making the switch over to reusable products, I will leave a link up here and also below this video to my playlist of all the reusable products that I've tried in the last year. If you have any suggestions of upcoming period videos that you'd like to see from me, of course leave those below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like videos like this, and subscribe if you want to see more videos. You can hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button as well if you'd like to be notified of any new uploads. And yeah, thank you for the video suggestion. I hope this was helpful to you guys. I hope it made sense. But only you know your body, only you know your period, and ultimately only you can decide which product works the best for you. But again, sometimes you need a few different products to last throughout the month to make your period more enjoyable. So I have really been enjoying my period this last year, which is odd to say, but these are the products that have made it like that for me. So yeah, thank you for watching as always. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.